Ethan had never seen a planet like this before. His ship had crashed deep inside a strange alien forest, full of glowing blue trees and whispering winds that seemed almost alive. Smoke still rose from the wreck behind him, and his leg hurt badly from the fall. His radio was broken. His crew was gone. He was alone. For hours, Ethan dragged himself through the tall grass trying to find help. The twin suns above were starting to set, painting the alien sky in purple and gold. The air smelled sweet, almost like flowers mixed with rain. But there was something else, a faint sound. Footsteps. He froze. Something was watching him from behind the trees. He could feel it. His hand reached for the emergency flare gun on his belt, ready to defend himself. The leaves rustled again and a small figure stepped out. A little alien girl, barely half his height. Her skin shimmered faintly, silver with hints of blue. Her big, glowing eyes looked curious, not afraid. She wore simple cloths made of soft plant fibers, and her hair floated like thin strands of light. She tilted her head as she stared at the injured human. "Don't come closer," Ethan said carefully, raising his hand. "I'm not here to hurt you." The girl blinked. Then, to his surprise, she smiled. Her voice was soft, melodic. "You fell from the sky," she said in broken English. "You're hurt," Ethan nodded weakly. "Yeah." "I could use some help." The girl walked closer, her small feet silent on the glowing moss. She looked at his injured leg and knelt beside him. She touched the wound lightly, and a gentle warmth spread through his skin. Ethan stared in shock as the pain slowly faded. "What? What did you just do?" he asked. She smiled proudly. "Healing roots. My people use them for hurt ones." Ethan laughed softly. "Well, thank you, little doctor." She giggled at the word, her eyes sparkling like stars. "I'm Lyra," she said. "Ethan," he replied. "Nice to meet you, Lyra." From that day, the two of them became unlikely friends. Lyra brought him food made from strange glowing fruits and taught him how to drink clean water from the forest vines. At night, they sat under the stars, and Ethan told her stories about Earth, about oceans, blue skies, and children running through the rain. Lyra listened with wide eyes. "Your world sounds soft," she said one evening. Ethan smiled. "It can be, sometimes." She looked down. "My world is not soft. It's full of fighting. My people, they don't laugh much." He saw the sadness in her eyes. She was just a child, yet she carried the weight of a harsh world. To cheer her up, Ethan picked a flower from the glowing grass and handed it to her. "Then maybe we can start with this," he said. "A small piece of peace." She held the flower close, smiling again. "You are strange, human." "Yeah," Ethan said, laughing. "Humans are strange. We make promises for fun, even if we can't keep them." "Promises?" she asked. He looked up at the stars and thought for a moment. "Like this, one day when you grow up, I'll marry you." Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. "Marry?" "It's a human joke," he said, grinning. "It means you're special to me." Lyra tilted her head, thinking deeply. Then she nodded slowly. "Okay," she said softly. "When I grow up, I will find you. You will marry me." Ethan blinked, realizing she took it seriously. "Hey, it's not—" But she interrupted him, smiling brightly. "Promise?" Her silver eyes shone like twin moons. Ethan couldn't help but smile back. "Sure, kid. Promise." That night, while he slept, Lyra stayed near the wrecked ship, keeping the fire burning to keep predators away. She watched the stars, whispering quietly to herself, "One day I'll grow strong enough to find him." 2 days later, a rescue ship arrived. The human team found Ethan and prepared to take him home. Lyra stood at the edge of the forest, watching silently. When Ethan noticed her, he walked toward her, limping slightly. "I guess this is goodbye," he said softly. Lyra didn't smile this time. "You promised," she whispered. Ethan chuckled. "Yeah, I did. But it was just—" She suddenly reached out and pressed her glowing hand to his chest. "I will remember your heart's sound," she said, "so I can find you again." Before Ethan could reply, the rescue team called his name. He looked back once more, but Lyra was already gone, vanished into the glowing forest. As the ship lifted off, Ethan stared out the window. The alien world grew smaller beneath him, until only the stars remained. He whispered to himself, "Take care, little one," but far below, in the silent forest, a small alien girl stood alone, staring at the sky. Her tiny voice broke the wind. "I will come back, human. You promised." And the story was only beginning. 10 long years had passed since Ethan's ship had left that glowing alien world behind. Time had changed him. He was no longer the young explorer who once laughed at danger and made silly promises under twin suns. Now he wore a gray uniform, a sign of his rank in the Frontier Alliance. He had seen war, death, and the cold silence of space. But sometimes, when he couldn't sleep, he still remembered her, the little silver-eyed alien girl named Lyra. He would smile at the memory of her soft laugh, the way her hair glowed faintly in the dark, and her serious little face when she said, "Promise." It had been just a joke, but somehow, the memory always left him quiet afterward. Ethan now worked on Outpost Haven 9, a human base on the edge of alien territory. His days were full of reports, patrols, and repairs. The stars looked the same, but the galaxy around them had become dangerous. Pirate ships raided trade lanes, and rumors spread about a new alien faction rising in the outer systems, a faction that united planets with strange, almost mystical power. Probably just another warlord, Ethan muttered as he read the latest briefing. But deep inside, something about the report bothered him. The name written there, House of the Silver Crest, felt familiar, though he couldn't remember why. That night, a sandstorm swept across the base. Ethan stayed in the control room, watching lightning flash across the sky. The comm screen flickered, showing a faint static. Then out of nowhere, a strange signal appeared. It was weak and distorted, but there was something haunting about it. A soft humming sound mixed with a melody. Ethan froze. He knew that sound. He had heard it years ago back on that alien planet when a little girl hummed beside a campfire while watching the stars. "No way," he whispered. He pressed a few buttons, trying to trace the signal. It came from a ship drifting near the asteroid field, just outside Haven 9's radar range. The code attached to the signal was written in alien symbols, but one line stood out. It was his name, Ethan. His heart started pounding. "That's impossible," he said to himself. "She couldn't." Before he could react, the signal cut off. The radar went back to normal. Lieutenant Marks, his second in command, walked in. "Sir, you still here?" "Storm's over. You should get some rest." Ethan nodded absently. "Yeah, I'm coming, but sleep didn't come that night." He kept hearing that melody in his head. He tried to convince himself it was just a glitch or a prank, but deep down a small voice whispered, "What if it's her?" The next morning, Ethan requested a patrol near the asteroid field. Marks rolled his eyes. "Sir, that area's dead space. Nothing out there but rocks." "Then it'll be an easy patrol," Ethan said with a half-smile. When they reached the location, all they found was silence. The asteroids drifted like frozen giants, and no ship appeared on radar. But then out of the corner of his eye, Ethan saw something, a shimmer in the darkness. For a second, he thought it was just space dust reflecting light. Then it moved. A sleek alien ship uncloaked, hovering silently just beyond their scanners. Its hull glowed with soft blue lines forming the mark of a silver crest, the same name from the report. Ethan's breath caught. "That symbol. It's her clan," he whispered. Marks frowned. "You know these people?" "Maybe," Ethan said quietly. Before he could call it in, the alien ship sent a direct transmission. A voice came through the comm, calm, confident, and strangely familiar. "Human vessel, identify yourself." Ethan leaned forward. "This is Officer Ethan Cross of Haven 9. Who is this?" There was a pause. Then the voice softened. "You don't remember me, do you?" Something in the tone made his chest tighten. The voice continued. "I told you I would find you." The screen flickered, and for a brief second an image appeared. A woman with silver eyes and glowing hair, looking directly at him. She wasn't a child anymore. Her face was older, graceful, and filled with quiet strength. Ethan felt his throat dry. "Lyra?" The connection broke immediately after. The alien ship vanished into the shadows, leaving nothing but static behind. Mark stared at him. "Who the hell was that?" Ethan sat back, stunned. "Someone I thought I'd never see again." He turned to the stars outside the window, his mind spinning. She had found him. Somehow across light years, across species, across time, she had kept her promise. But as he stared at the empty darkness where her ship had been, he couldn't shake off the strange chill crawling up his spine. Because the look in her eyes wasn't just warm or familiar, it was powerful, almost royal. And for the first time, Ethan wondered, had that little alien girl become something far more dangerous than he could imagine? The forgotten promise had returned. And this time it would change everything. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about that voice. It echoed in his head every waking hour, soft, calm, yet commanding. The moment he saw those silver eyes on the screen, he knew. It was her. It was Lyra, the little alien girl who once saved his life, and never forgot his promise. Days passed, but no one believed him. The base record showed no alien ships in the area, no confirmed contact and no signal logs. It was as if she had appeared only to him, like a ghost from the past. "Sir, maybe it was a hallucination," Lieutenant Marks said one morning. "You've been pulling too many night shifts." Ethan didn't argue. He just nodded, staring out at the stars. But deep inside, he knew it wasn't his imagination. The signal had been real. The silver eyes had been real. And now something deep in his chest told him she was coming. 3 nights later, the alarm sounded across Haven 9. Unknown ship approaching. No response to hails. No weapon lock detected. But the ship was massive, bigger than anything the humans had seen from nearby alien colonies. Ethan ran to the control room. On the main screen, the alien vessel hovered in the void, black and sleek, shaped like a winged blade. Its surface shimmered like liquid light. The entire crew stared in silence. "Open channel," Ethan ordered. A moment later, the image appeared, Lyra. She stood tall, her silver eyes glowing softly, her hair like streams of starlight falling over ornate armor. The room fell completely silent. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. "Human Commander Ethan Cross," she said, her voice calm but strong. "It has been many cycles." Ethan stepped forward slowly. "Lyra, it's really you." Her expression didn't change. "You remember, how could I forget?" he said softly. Around them, soldiers whispered, unsure if they were witnessing diplomacy or something else entirely. Lyra's eyes scanned the room, pausing on the human faces. Then she said quietly, "We need to talk. Alone." The command center officers looked at Ethan, waiting. He gave a short nod. "Clear the room." Once they were alone, the silence stretched between them. "You've grown," Ethan said finally, trying to smile. "And you've aged," she replied with the faintest trace of amusement, but her tone soon hardened. "You broke your promise," Ethan blinked, caught off guard. "Lyra, I didn't mean—" "You said you would marry me when I grew up," she said, stepping closer. "Do you remember?" Her eyes were bright, but there was no anger, just sadness, maybe even disappointment. Ethan laughed awkwardly. "That was a joke, Lyra. You were a child." You didn't think I would remember," she said softly. "But I did. I remembered everything. Every word. Every laugh. Every story you told about your home." She reached into her armor and pulled out a small glowing stone, the same one Ethan had given her years ago to use as a nightlight by the campfire. "You said humans make promises for fun," she whispered. "But I made mine with my heart." Ethan stared at the stone, speechless, then she turned away, her voice quiet but firm. "I didn't come here to make you keep that promise, Ethan. I came because my world is in danger, and you are the only human I trust." Ethan exhaled slowly, tension leaving his shoulders. "Then tell me what's happening." Lyra looked back at him, eyes glimmering with pain. "A warlord from the Outer Ring has risen. He calls himself Varric the Unbroken. He's taken half my world. My people are dying." She paused, her voice trembling just slightly. "They need help. And I remembered what you once said. Humans never abandon friends." Ethan felt something stir inside him. The words she quoted were his own, spoken long ago beside a fire under alien stars. He looked at her, really looked, and saw not the little girl from his memories, but a warrior carrying the weight of her world. "You came all this way, just to find me?" he asked quietly. Lyra nodded. "You are my promise." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the ship engines filled the silence between them. Finally, Ethan said, "Then let's save your people." Lyra's expression softened, relief flickering through her eyes. "Thank you, Ethan." As they walked toward the hangar, the lights flickered for a second. A faint red glow spread across the base screens, an alert. An unidentified transmission was being intercepted from the alien vessel. Mark's voice echoed through the comms, urgent. "Sir, the alien ship, someone's trying to hack our systems." Ethan stopped and turned to Lyra. "Is this your doing?" She looked shocked. "No, that's impossible." But before either could react, the base lights went out. The monitors flared red. showing one message flashing in alien script. Ethan couldn't read it, but Lyra could. Her face turned pale. It says, "He knows she's returned." The screens went dark again, leaving them in silence. Ethan met her eyes. "Who knows, Lyra?" She looked toward the stars, her voice barely a whisper. "Varric." The promise from the past had awakened something far bigger. Something deadly. The storm outside Haven 9 raged through the night, thunder rolling like distant cannons. Inside the base, red warning lights pulsed along the walls. The power flickered and the air hummed with tension. Ethan stood beside Lyra in the command room, staring at the half-destroyed monitor that had flashed that terrifying message. He knows she's returned. Varric the Unbroken, her enemy, had somehow traced her signal. He knew she was here. Lyra's silver eyes glowed faintly in the dark room. Her calm face now showed something Ethan had never seen before. Fear. "He has spies everywhere," she whispered. "If he knows I'm here, he'll come. He doesn't forgive. And he doesn't stop." Ethan rubbed his temples. "Then we need to move." "We can't risk the whole base," Lyra shook her head. "He won't attack here. Not yet, he'll wait. He likes to watch before he strikes." Her voice carried a quiet bitterness, the tone of someone who had been hunted before. Ethan studied her for a moment. The little girl who once healed his wound with glowing roots was now a warrior, her every word edged with pain and wisdom beyond her years. He couldn't help but wonder how much she had endured. "Tell me everything," he said finally. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. "After you left, my world fell into war. The clans fought over power and land. When I was old enough, they made me heir to the Silver Crest, our oldest house. I tried to bring peace, but Varric saw peace as weakness. He killed the council, burned our cities, and took half my people as slaves." Her fists clenched, the faint glow of her armor pulsing like a heartbeat. "He wanted me dead too, but I escaped. I spent years rebuilding, learning, fighting, uniting what was left. But I couldn't win alone. That's why I came to you." Ethan listened in silence. Her story felt heavy, real. He could see the scars in her eyes, the kind that never fade. "And you think I can help?" Lyra looked at him. "Humans fight differently. You don't wait for permission. You act, that's what I need. Not soldiers, but courage." Ethan gave a tired laugh. "Courage I've got. A fleet not so much," she smiled faintly. "You have more than you think." Before he could ask what she meant, the door opened and Lieutenant Marks entered. He froze when he saw Lyra, her glowing armor lighting the dim room. "Sir, the fleet command's demanding an explanation," he said. "They've detected a massive alien vessel over our base and think it's hostile." Ethan sighed. "Tell them to stand down. She's an ally." Marks frowned. "An ally who just shut down half our systems?" Lyra stepped forward. "That wasn't me. It was a warning." "From Varric?" Ethan asked. Lyra nodded. "He likes to send messages before his attacks. Small ones, so his prey knows he's watching." Marks muttered under his breath. "Well, that's not creepy at all." Ethan turned to Lyra. "What's your plan?" She reached into her cloak and pulled out a small metal sphere. It shimmered like liquid silver. "This," she said softly, "is my gift to you." Ethan frowned. "What is it?" "A memory key," she explained. "It holds the coordinates to my homeworld, the codes to bypass its defenses, and the location of something we can use against him." "What kind of something?" Her eyes met his. "A weapon. One that only humans can control." That caught Ethan by surprise. "Why humans?" Lyra's voice lowered. "Because the weapon was built long ago by your kind." The words hung heavy in the air. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "You mean, humans have been there before?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Before the Great Collapse, before the stars burned cold, your ancestors came to my world. They left behind machines that even our greatest engineers cannot awaken. But I believe you can." Ethan took the sphere, its surface warm to the touch. The idea of humans reaching this far ages ago felt impossible, yet somehow it made sense. Humans were always the ones wandering too far, daring too much. Before they could speak further, the base sirens blared again. Marks looked at the radar and cursed. "We've got multiple ships inbound. Not human signatures, alien." Ethan rushed to the screen. A dozen red dots appeared, closing fast. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Varric's scouts. He's testing your defenses." Ethan slammed a button. "All units to battle stations. Lock down the perimeter!" Outside, the night sky lit up with streaks of fire as alien ships broke through the clouds. Plasma blasts rained down on the desert around Haven 9. The ground shook with every impact. Lyra turned to Ethan. "Let me fight beside you." He grabbed his rifle, giving a small grin. "Wouldn't have it any other way." They ran side by side toward the hangar, alarms screaming overhead. The desert wind howled as the first explosions hit the base. In that chaos, Lyra looked at him and said quietly, "He'll stop at nothing to destroy me, Ethan. But if he learns what's hidden on my world, he'll destroy you too." Ethan loaded his weapon and smiled faintly. "Then we'd better make sure he never gets the chance." The doors opened, revealing the burning sky outside. Together, a human and an alien queen stepped into the fire, one carrying a promise, the other carrying a secret that could shake the galaxy. The desert outside Haven 9 had turned into chaos. Fire streaked across the night sky as alien ships screamed overhead, cutting through the dark like red lightning. Explosions tore through the sand, lighting up the base in a storm of heat and metal. The air was thick with dust, smoke, and the sharp smell of plasma fire. Ethan sprinted through the corridor, rifle in hand, the sound of boots and alarms echoing all around him. Soldiers shouted orders. Medics dragged the wounded. Every second felt heavier than the last. But beside him, calm and unshaken, moved Lyra, the alien who once healed him as a child, now armored like a warrior of legend. Her glowing silver eyes scanned every shadow. Her armor pulsed with blue light, and the energy blade in her hand hummed like a whisper of thunder. "They're targeting the power cores," she said, her voice steady even as the walls trembled. "Varric wants your base offline before sending the real attack." Ethan nodded. "Then we stop them before that happens." They burst through the exit into the open night. Above them, human fighters clashed with alien raiders. One ship exploded, showering the sand with burning debris. Lyra raised her hand and a shimmering shield spread around them, deflecting falling fire. "Nice trick," Ethan said, ducking behind a barrier. Lyra smirked faintly. "You haven't seen my best yet." Before he could answer, a group of raiders appeared from the smoke, tall, dark-skinned aliens with red armor and glowing tattoos. Varric soldiers. They fired without warning. Plasma bolts tore through the air. Ethan returned fire, sharp and precise. 2 enemies fell, but more kept coming. Lyra leapt forward, her blade slicing through the chaos with deadly grace. She moved like wind, swift, silent, unstoppable. Ethan covered her from behind, his rifle cracking with each shot. When the last raider fell, Lyra turned to him, breathing hard but smiling. "You fight better than I remember," he grinned. "You're not too bad yourself." Before either could catch their breath, Marx's voice came through the comms, shouting over static. "Sir, they've breached the east hangar." "We're losing control." Ethan cursed. "That's where the civilian staff are." He looked at Lyra. "We can't let them through." She nodded. "Then we make our stand there." Together they ran across the burning sands toward the hangar. The wind howled around them, carrying the smell of ash. When they arrived, the scene was worse than they imagined. Half the structure was on fire and terrified workers were trapped inside. Ethan shouted, "Move!" "Get them out." He and Lyra began clearing the path, blasting through fallen metal and dragging people to safety. One woman stumbled, crying, "There's still a child inside." Without hesitation, Lyra dashed into the smoke. Ethan shouted after her, "Lyra, wait!" Seconds passed. Then a beam cracked, the roof caving in. Ethan dove forward, pulling her and the alien child out just before the structure collapsed. They rolled across the ground, coughing from the smoke. Lyra handed the child to a medic, then turned to Ethan. "You risked your life for strangers." He wiped soot from his face and gave her a crooked smile. "That's what humans do." For a moment, her silver eyes softened. But before she could reply, the air filled with a new sound. A deep, rhythmic hum. Ethan looked up. A massive shadow moved across the clouds. It was a ship, far larger than any raider craft. A monstrous dreadnought, its hull marked with burning red symbols. Lyra's face went pale. "It's him, Varric." The dreadnought descended slowly, blotting out the stars. A voice thundered across every comm channel, deep and cruel. "So the Lost Queen hides behind a human. How fitting." Ethan gritted his teeth. "You picked the wrong human." Lyra's armor glowed brighter as she stepped forward. "Varric, this is between us. Leave these people alone." Varric laughed, a harsh, echoing sound that made the ground tremble. You still think you can command me? I built my empire on your family's ashes. Ethan raised his weapon toward the dreadnought. If you want her, you'll have to come through me. The voice grew quieter, almost amused. Then die with her. A blast of crimson light erupted from the ship, striking the desert. The explosion knocked everyone off their feet. Ethan felt the heat wash over him, the sand turning to glass beneath the blast. The world rang in his ears. When the smoke cleared, he saw Lyra lying on the ground, her armor cracked and glowing weakly. He crawled toward her, his voice breaking. Lyra, stay with me. Her eyes flickered open. You shouldn't have stayed, he shook his head. I keep my promises. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Then, promise me again, she whispered. Anything. Don't let him win. Before Ethan could answer, enemy troops began landing from the dreadnought, dark figures surrounding the base. The war had begun. Ethan stood, blood on his face, gun shaking in his hands. Around him, the humans rallied, their commander rising to fight even as everything burned. He looked down at Lyra, her eyes still locked on his. I'll bring you back, he said softly. No matter what it takes. The winds howled again, carrying the roar of engines and the screams of battle. Above it all, one vow echoed through the smoke. A human's promise. Would not be broken. The battle for Haven 9 lasted through the night and into the dawn. By morning, half the base was gone, burned, broken, silent. The sands outside were black with smoke, and the sky glowed red from the wreckage still burning on the horizon. Ethan's uniform was torn, his hands covered in dust and blood. He stood among the ruins, searching the battlefield for one thing, Lyra. The last he saw of her was when the blast from Varric's dreadnought struck. She'd fallen beside him, whispering for him not to let Varric win. When he woke, she was gone. Only her cracked armor plate lay in the sand, faintly glowing with her energy. Marks approached quietly, limping from his injuries. Sir, we found tracks heading north. Not human ones. Looks like she was taken. Ethan clenched his fists. Varric took her, Mark sighed. We lost half our men, Commander. We can't fight his fleet alone. Ethan looked at the horizon, eyes burning with determination. Then I'll go alone if I have to. He turned and walked toward the damaged hangar. Inside, among the broken ships, one small scout vessel still worked. It wasn't built for battle, but it could fly. Ethan climbed inside, started the engine, and ignored Marks's shouts to stop. He had only one thought, I keep my promises. Hours later, Ethan's ship slipped into the cold emptiness of space. He followed the faint tracking signal from Lyra's armor, guiding him deep into the black zone, the area no human dared enter. Rumors said it was haunted by old war machines and pirate kings. But Ethan didn't care. He replayed her last words again and again. Don't let him win. As he neared the signal's source, a massive shape appeared in the darkness. Varric's dreadnought, an iron mountain drifting among the stars. Ethan's ship was a speck compared to it. He switched off his lights and used the wreckage around it for cover. Inside the enemy hangar, he slipped out wearing a stolen raider suit. The corridors of the ship were cold, filled with low red light and the smell of oil and metal. Strange alien writing covered the walls, and he could hear deep mechanical breathing, machines guarding the halls. Ethan moved silently, every step echoing in his heart. He reached the lower deck where the signal pulsed strongest. There, behind a glowing energy barrier, he found her. Lyra lay on a slab, weak but alive. Chains of light held her arms and legs, and her eyes fluttered open as he approached. Ethan, you shouldn't have come, she whispered. He smiled faintly. You should know by now, I don't listen well. He aimed his blaster at the control node and fired. Sparks burst and the barrier flickered out. Lyra stumbled forward and Ethan caught her before she fell. You came, she murmured. I promised, he said softly. But before they could move, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. Touching, said Varric, stepping from the shadows. He was enormous, twice Ethan's height, his body covered in red metal armor that glowed with heat. His eyes burned like molten fire. I expected you to run, Varric said. Humans usually do. Ethan stood firm. Guess I'm not most humans. Varric laughed darkly. No, you're the fool who doesn't know what she really is. Ethan frowned. What are you talking about? Varric stepped closer, his voice like thunder. You think she's just a lost queen? She's the key, human. The last bloodline capable of awakening the weapon your ancestors built. Lyra's voice trembled. Don't listen to him, Ethan. But Varric continued, his grin cruel. Did she tell you her power comes from human design? Her ancestors were created. Hybrids of your kind and mine. You humans left your mark on every world you touched, even hers. Ethan stared at Lyra, confusion in his eyes. Is it true? Tears shimmered in her silver eyes. I didn't know until I took the throne. The Silver Crest was born from human science. Long before my time. My people hate humans for what they made us into. But I never hated you. Varric's laughter shook the room. And that's why she's weak. Because she still believes in you. Ethan raised his weapon. You talk too much, he fired, hitting the wall controls. The lights exploded, plunging the chamber into darkness. Lyra grabbed Ethan's hand, guiding him through the smoke. Alarm screamed as they ran down the corridor. Where's the hangar? Ethan shouted. Lyra pointed ahead. This way! Behind them, Varric roared, tearing through the walls. You can't run, human. They burst into the hangar bay where Ethan's ship was docked. He helped Lyra climb aboard, then jumped into the pilot seat. The ship's engines came alive, roaring like thunder. Varric appeared at the entrance, his hand glowing with deadly energy. You can't stop me. The galaxy will kneel before the unbroken, Ethan smirked. Then I guess it's time someone broke you. He fired the thrusters at full power, blasting out of the hangar just as Varric hurled his attack. The explosion lit up the void behind them. As they escaped into the stars, Lyra leaned back, pale but alive. You risked everything for me. Ethan smiled faintly. I told you once I don't break my word. She looked at him, her voice soft but strong. Then you must know the truth, Ethan. The weapon Varric wants isn't just a machine. It's a living being. And it's waiting for us on my homeworld. Ethan tightened his grip on the controls. Then that's where we're going. As the ship vanished into hyperspace, Lyra closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt safe. But outside, in the darkness of the stars, Varric's dreadnought slowly turned, and somewhere deep inside its burning heart, his voice rumbled like thunder. Run if you must. I will find you. The promise will end in fire. The journey to Lyra's homeworld took 3 days through broken space, regions where the stars flickered like dying embers and gravity twisted light itself. Ethan didn't rest. He barely blinked. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Varric's burning face and heard his words. The promise will end in fire. Lyra rested in the co-pilot seat beside him, wrapped in a silver cloak that hid the cracks in her armor. Her body was weak, but her spirit hadn't dimmed. The faint glow in her eyes reminded Ethan of the little girl who once helped him survive in a strange forest. Hopeful, fearless, and stubborn as ever. We're almost there, Ethan said, staring at the swirling blue planet ahead. You're home, Lyra nodded slowly. It used to be beautiful. Oceans that glowed at night, cities that sang with light. Now half of it lies in shadow. As they entered the atmosphere, the view was heartbreaking. Entire continents were burned black, and the skies were filled with drifting debris from fallen ships. Yet far to the north, one bright structure still stood, a massive crystal spire surrounded by silver domes. That's the Heart Spire, Lyra whispered, where the weapon sleeps. Ethan landed the ship near the base of the spire. The ground shimmered with faint blue energy, and ancient human symbols were carved into the stone beneath the alien markings. Ethan crouched, brushing the dust away from one of them. These are Earth runes, old Science Division symbols. This is human-made, all right. Lyra walked to the center of the platform, her hair glowing softly in the dusk. They said the weapon was our salvation, but it was built as a curse. Only my bloodline can awaken it. Only my will can stop it, Ethan joined her. Then we stop it, together. Before she could reply, the sky tore open. A massive shadow blotted out the sun. Varric's dreadnought descended from orbit like a falling mountain, surrounded by swarms of raider ships. His voice thundered through the clouds. You cannot hide from me, Lyra of the Silver Crest. You carry the key and I will take it. Lyra looked at Ethan, her expression calm but resolute. It's time. The ground beneath them trembled as the Heart Spire came alive. Beams of blue light erupted upward, cutting through the clouds. The runes on the stone glowed, forming circles of ancient human code. Lyra raised her hand and the lights responded, threads of power swirling around her like ribbons of fire and wind. Ethan watched in awe. What's happening? Lyra's voice echoed through the roar. The weapon. She's waking up. From deep beneath the earth came a low, haunting sound like a heartbeat made of thunder. Then, rising from the glowing cracks in the ground, a colossal figure began to emerge, a machine but alive. It had the shape of a guardian, towering like a mountain forged of silver and light. Its eyes opened, blazing like twin suns. Varric's dreadnought fired first. Beams of red plasma crashed into the giant, but they shattered harmlessly against its shield. The Guardian turned its gaze upward, and with a single pulse of energy it destroyed half of Varric's fleet in an instant. Ethan's mouth fell open. "That's the weapon?" Lyra nodded. "The creation of humans, and the burden of my people." But then her glow flickered, her body trembling. Ethan grabbed her arm. "Lyra, what's wrong?" "It's too strong," she gasped. "It needs a mind to guide it, a heart to hold it steady. If I lose focus, it'll destroy everything, including this planet." Ethan looked at the control platform, at the second glowing handprint beside hers, one clearly human. He didn't hesitate. He pressed his hand to it. Energy surged through him, lightning and fire running in his veins. His mind filled with visions of Earth's past, scientists creating the Guardian, coding it to respond only to courage and compassion. His voice joined hers, guiding the giant through the storm. "Easy," he whispered. "We're not here to destroy. We're here to protect." The Guardian steadied, standing tall and calm. Then it turned its blazing eyes toward Varric's ship. Lyra spoke, her voice full of sorrow and strength. "Varric the Unbroken, your war ends today." The Guardian raised its arm, and a beam of pure white light pierced the sky. Varric's dreadnought cracked, split apart, and exploded in a storm of light and sound that shook the stars themselves. Silence followed. Only the wind moved through the ashes of war. Lyra fell to her knees, her strength fading. Ethan caught her before she collapsed. "It's over," he said softly. "You did it." She looked up at him weakly. "No, we did it," he smiled, brushing the dust from her cheek. "Told you I'd keep my promise." Her eyes glimmered. "Then keep one more. Name it." "Stay," she whispered. "Not as a soldier. Not as a savior. Just stay." Ethan hesitated, looking at the ruined sky, then back at her. "You mean?" Her small smile returned. The same one from so many years ago when she held a glowing flower in a forest and whispered promise. "You said you'd marry me when I grew up." He laughed quietly, shaking his head. "I guess I did." As the twin suns rose over the broken world, their light fell across the heart spire, now calm and silent. The Guardian knelt behind them, fading back into the earth, its duty complete. Ethan and Lyra stood together, hand in hand, watching the dawn. The war was over. The promise had been kept, and somewhere in the distant galaxies, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if they too remembered the words once spoken under alien skies. Sometimes, a human's joke becomes the promise that saves the stars.